Hello everyone, very good morning. You are watching my YouTube channel CloudX India. The purpose of CloudX India is to upload cloud related videos. Guys, so in my videos you can watch AWS Cloud, Azure Cloud, OCI Cloud, and also on-premises AD and VMware. But top priority is AWS and Azure, as I said before. Okay. So currently, I'm uploading the videos of AWS and Azure. So if you did not subscribe already, so please do subscribe, share with your friend, and enjoy the training. Okay. So guys, this is the second video of Amazon Network Part 2. Okay. In the last, we learn what is the VPC, what is the reasons, what is availability zones. Okay, and why network required, these things we learn. Okay, so let's move and see. So in agenda we already discussed this part, we already discussed. Okay, so I'm moving fast, going on to the subnet, the rest of the part which left. So guys, as you said last day, okay, in last session, so we have discussed about this thing. Okay, so what we discussed, just to recap, so we discussed to create a VPC, and I created a VPC under Ohio location, US is 2. I assigned a name to a dev private. So I have dev public. So there are 4 subnet total I have under this VPC. Okay. 2 subnet associated with each availability zones. Okay. So in 4 subnet, there are 2 public, 2 private, and 2 public. You can see. Okay, as per the name, you can see PRI is private, PUB is public. Okay, so the question come in mind, guys. So why there are 2 private subnet? Why both private subnet are not associated with one availability zones? This is 2. Why both private subnet not associated with one availability zone, or why all 4 subnet not associated with one availability zones? So why there are multiple availability zone AWS provide? So availability zone is for high availability. You can, as per the name, you can say it's for high availability, right? Availability zone, you can say a physical locations, right? Or you can refer to a data center. But one availability zone can have one or more than one data center. Okay. So what AWS recommend, or what we always as a critical application, if we are going to deploy, so we should not deploy our application in one availability zones. We have to split our application into the availability zone A, 2A and 2B. So why? Because this is a geographically they are separated location, 2 different data center, right? In case if your application goes down, so your application is available here. Suppose you deploy both the application here. Take an example. You deploy your both application here, right? What happened? So for high availability, if this application server goes down, what happened? You have at least this application server running, okay? But what happened if this data center goes down? The complete data center goes down. So what happened? So you will lose your complete application, right? However, it doesn't happen, but in case of flood, okay, in case of fire, in case of any disaster situation, right, earthquake, if this availability zone goes down, so what happen? You lose all accessibility or your of your application, right? So wisely we have to choose the availability zone. We have to split our server application server into 2 availability zones, not in a single availability zone. So always deploy into 2 availability zones. So that is the reason we are selecting 2 availability zones. And if you are deploying your application in private subnet, so you have to select at least 2 private subnet, because a subnet is a part of one availability zone. A subnet cannot be part of 2 availability zone, right? So that is the reason we have public and 2 private subnet. Okay. We always deploy our system into the private subnet, the application server, and database. We always deploy application server and database under the private subnet. Reason? We do not want to expose our application over the internet. And any internet facing device like load balancer, load balancer we always deploy under the public subnet. Okay, under the public subnet. And what happened? End user will connect to the load balancer, and load balancer will connect to your application. Application server connect to your database and provide the information to the end user whosoever requesting it. Okay. Whenever you deploy any application server inside availability zone A to A under this private subnet, can it communicate to a system which is deployed in availability zone 2B? Yes. By default, under a VPC, all the system are interconnected. Okay. And second thing, guys, before going ahead, can I use the same CIDR block with my another VPC in different region? Yes, we can use. Can a different person like you or any other person can also use the CIDR block in their own VPC? Exactly, they can use it because this CIDR block is known as the local IP or private IP addresses. A private IP addresses can be used multiple time in multiple times with different organization. Okay, but you cannot repeat this CIDR block in your same regions or in your on premises. So you have to design your network exactly same as you designing in your on premises. So this is the one of very important thing. Second thing, as I said in last video, this CIDR block should not overlap with your on premises. Reason why over it will not overlap, if you're doing practical, you are not connecting over the VPN with your on premises and AWS network, then there is no problem. But whenever you plan to connect your AWS network from the on-premises network, right? Then these IPs should not overlap. If it is decided to like use in AWS, then don't use on-premises. Or if it is in use on-premises, don't use on the AWS, right? We'll talk how to set up the VPN and every part, okay? So we always deploy the system over the private subnet, and from organization from on premises we have the VPN setup. So just giving the basic information. So VPN is a virtual private network. It provide you a private connection over the public network, right? So from your on premises, you set up a VPN connection and access this system as a local system. So we'll talk how to set up this one. Okay. So now what happened? So whenever you are going to plan to deploy any application, make sure you spread your application server into two availability zone, not one. So availability zone is a data center and also used for high availability as well for the disaster. Okay. So as in last video you have seen, I have created the four subnet. Okay. So first let's look into the subnet. There are four subnet: dev pub, dev pri private, dev pri private, dev pub is a public. Okay. So let's do one thing. First, do the public practical. I'm going to deploy a virtual machine for the demo. Okay. And see how does it work. Okay. Can I connect over the internet this system or not? Okay. So let's do one thing. It's a very simple the deployment. Go in EC2 instances. Okay. Click on running instance. So there is no running instance. So what you have to do, you have to launch new instances. So select any EC2 instance. I'll select first of all free tier and select any running virtual machine. I'll select the Windows Server 2016 and then take the free tier. Make sure guys do not use any other instance type, otherwise it will be chargeable. Click it and select numbers of instances 1, your VPC CloudX demo. And since, as I said, we'll deploy the our virtual machine in public subnet. So while you are going to deploy, so in the subnet section, you have to select the public. If you select 2B dev pub, so your system automatically deploy in availability zone 2B. So I have selected this one. And since you are saying we are going to deploy into the public, so make sure your system will also get public IP address. By default, it is disabled. So auto assign public IP address, click here and make it enable. Otherwise, your system will not get a public IP and you cannot access it. There is some challenges you will face that I'll talk about later, and how to fix it we'll see. So the storage, do not increase the storage, otherwise it will be chargeable. 30 GB is free for 750 days. Give a tag name. I said pub EC2, public EC2. Security group. So this is the first. So I'll create a security group by default. We'll talk what is security group. We'll talk later. I'm not going to describe it to confuse. Okay. So let's create a new key pair, right? This is first time I'm going to deploy. So I'll select CloudX and download. Make sure you download the key pair. Do not forget to download and launch it. So I have deployed it. So it will take some time to deploy. So since you have selected the public IP address, it receive a public IP address, as well as it receive a private IP address. So this virtual machine has two IP address, one public and other one is the private IP address. Public, why? Because if you want to access over the network which is not connected with the VPN, then you need the public IP. This is the interface. Okay. Through this IP, you get into the AWS environment and access this particular virtual machine. And if you are over the VPN, or you want to connect one system to another system into the under the same VPC, then you have to use this one. So let me do one thing. Let me create one more virtual machine under the private subnet. Okay, it will help us to understand easily. So here I am going to select the same edition again, and till the time I am selecting this one, that will be ready. So this time I'll select private. I'll not use public IP address because this is a my private instance. So the storage type, and I'll use name PRI EC2. This is a private EC2. I'll use the same security group which I created before. Make sure port 3389 is open there, otherwise you will not able to access it. So this is my another instance is running. Okay. So you can see guys, so I have selected which subnet. From here you can verify. I have selected subnet 2A. So this is the reason it is deployed in 2A, because the subnet is associated with availability zone. Whatever you subnet select, suppose you select 2A, so it will your virtual machine will deploy in 2A. And in the public I selected 2B, so the virtual machine you can see it is deploying into the 2B. Okay. So both the systems are running, and let's verify there are something. So you have to check the system status. Okay, if it is initializing, so you should wait. Okay, because it verify the backend hardware, underlying hardware, and the virtual machine OS status. If you go here, status check, you can see it is initializing system status check and instance status check. Also, you can see the status where it is stuck. You can select your virtual machine, go in action. Okay, click an instance setting and get a screenshot. You can also see the current status. Okay, so I can see this is ready. So let's go and access it. So what I have to do, I have to access this virtual machine through the public IP address. Just copy the public IP address, do mstsc, paste the IP address here, it's not allowing me to access. Okay, so if it is not allowing me to access, so first of all, you have to verify the firewall rule. As I said, there is a problem which I have to fix, but before fixing that problem, I'll just give you the scenario. Okay, so into the firewall security group, go and check the logical security group 3389 TCP allowed for all. It means there should not be any problem, but it is still not accessible. Okay, so guys, it's not accessible. Let's go back to the picture again, my slide. So system I have deployed, I'll just erase all. System I have deployed here. This is a by default private subnet. If we talk, I have given the name public, but the IP address is the private. Actual, the virtual machine is deployed under the private subnet. So first of all, we have to see the routing. How will I reach to this EC2 instances, right? I'm sitting here accessing this virtual machine from my laptop. So I'm over the internet. And this is the isolated environment, right? This environment is into the private subnet. Okay. However, I have enabled the public IP address and I get a public IP address, but there is no way to reach to this EC2 instances, right? If you see the configuration, this is the flat configuration. It has a local root. It has availability zones, virtual machine deployed here. It has a public IP address, but I am not able to connect. Okay. So to understand the problem, there is a no gateway. I do not have as of now any gateway deployed over this VPC which help me to connect to this public subnet. Okay, so that is the reason there is one important part which I have mentioned, that is a IGW. So what we have to do, we have to create a internet gateway. So what IGW do? IGW basically help you to connect any instances deployed inside the VPC AWS environment, right? And also, so there are two ways, right? So it allow incoming and outgoing internet connection. You can simply say it. Okay, it work as a gateway for external user to the resources deployed under the AWS and from resources to the internet. So it will allow you can connect internet from here and you can connect your system from here as well. Okay, so let's see how to create it. So there are two things you have to follow before creating the gateway. Okay, so what you have to do, so you have to first of all create a gateway. Okay, and then you have to create a routing for it. So let's do one thing. I'll create a gateway here. I'll mention a name gateway IGW. Okay, so I have prepared a name here, CloudX IGW. I'll go over the internet, and if you see here under the VPC section, where is VPC? So under the VPC section, there is, where is IGW Internet Gateway? Yes. So Internet Gateway. Okay. What does it do? You have to click on Internet Gateway. So what it's saying, Internet Gateway is a virtual router that connect a VPC to the internet. To create new internet gateway, specify name. So this is a virtual router that connect a VPC to the internet. Click here, assign a name and create it. It's a very simple or straightforward configuration. Once you create, you can see this is a detached. It is not attached with any VPC. So what you have to do, you have to click on action and attach it. Select your VPC and attach it. Now you have attached. So can you access your virtual machine? As of now, no. Why no? I'll tell you the reason. But before going in detail, let's see. You cannot access it. The reason why you cannot access it, so if you go to the routing again in your graph, so you can see there is a local route, only one route available under this VPC. Oh, okay. And all subnet by default, all the subnets are by default part of your local route. Okay, so all these four subnets are part of the local route. So what happened whenever they are trying to access google.com or anyone trying to access this one, right? They are coming or going outside or anywhere from this route table. And when they come under this route table, so there is only one route mentioned 10.0.0.0/16 and local. Local means you cannot go over the internet. You have only local route. If you go under the subnet, right, so any subnet whether it is private or public, you can see these all are part of your local route table. This one route table, you can see this is the local route. If you go and click here and open it, you can see there is only local route mentioned. So you have to provide a way, right? You have to, and this local route is the local. Okay, and subnet, you can see under this there are all four subnets. So what we have to do, we have to create a route table here. Okay, in the route table we have to mention, we have to create a public route. As I mentioned into my document, I'll create a public route and I'll give a name to this. So suppose into the diagram I'll create a public route name pub. And once you create any route and associate with the VPC, right, what happen? It will create by default one local route. So this same local route will be created here. So what happen? A subnet can be part of one local route at a time. Okay. So when this VM want to communicate to any virtual machine, okay, deployed here, it will use help of local route. And whenever this virtual machine or anyone want to connect to this virtual machine, right, they come through the IGW. So I'll create one route 0 0 0, okay, and point to the IGW, which is my router here. And this IGW, what it will do, it will help to send requests outside this VPC and also help external user to connect this virtual machine over the internet. Okay, so let's do one thing. Let's not wait. Go into the route table. I already opened in another section. Click on create our route table, assign a name, select the VPC, click on create. So once you created this route table, assign the name. Okay, so by default you can see there is only one local route. Okay, so we have to do multiple things. So before this we have to add the subnet. So click on the subnet, edit subnet, and select your public subnet here. So I'll select this to public subnet. You have selected it, click on save. So your public subnet is added, but still if you try you cannot access it. Reason? Because only you have added the public subnet but routing is still not defined. So you have to allow IGW here. So you have to click on edit. Let me go again. You have to click on edit routes, add routes, and you have to mention apart from this like 0 0 0/0, any network which is unidentified, send it to the internet gateway CloudX IGW and click on save. So once you complete the routing, what happened? And if you try again, creation is simple. I had two options. Either directly I explained and create it, but I have created a situation, a problematic situation. Then we identify it, okay, and troubleshoot it. So as you see. So deploying a VPC, creating a subnet is not options. You have to think of the routing. You have to create the IGW as well to access your virtual machine. So if you go in your virtual machine, open the command prompt, you can see there are, this is the IP address of your virtual machine. Okay, this is the IP address. And if you go over the console, you can also find from here the IP address. Okay, right. Now the question, how do I access this private virtual machine? Since private is not connected with the IGW, so you cannot access the private virtual machine over the internet. But can I connect private virtual machine from my this public virtual machine? So as you have seen, so I have accessed this virtual machine, which IP, the public IP address is 152. So this is the virtual machine. Okay, this is the virtual machine and it's a public IP address. So I am currently accessing EC2 public, and now I am trying to access my private IP address, private virtual machine. So what I have to do, MSTSC, click. So I'm trying to do this one. So I'll tell you. So this virtual machine is under the private and this is public. I connected this from my desktop and right to this system. So once this will make call, it will go to its local route, and local route will not send it outside. Route will send it to this particular subnet and connect this virtual machine. So if you see here, I'm able to launch it. If I click on administrator name, I have to decrypt the password as well for this, for my private machine. Get password, choose a file. I'll just minimize this one. So here you can see, guys, there are two systems which I have connected. One is my private machine and other one is in the backend. This is a public machine. So private system are connected over the private route. It means under a VPC, you can connect to all the system, whether it is in availability zone A or in private subnet or in a public subnet, okay, or in different availability zone. Any system which is under the same VPC you can connect, okay, and any system which is under the public and connected with the IGW and have a public IP, you can connect over the internet. Also, you can access the internet from here. If you go to the public subnet, or this is my private one and this is a public virtual machine. If I go here and if I try to access the google.com, what happened? Can I access google.com? Click here, try again, google.com. What happened, man? It's typing something else. That is the main problem. Okay, anyway, you can see it's accessible. You have to add it and access it, right? So you can access the internet and anyone can access the your system from over the network. But can you access internet from your what private system which is you deployed under the private? Let's try. If I say it is not accessible, internet is not accessible into the private virtual machine. The reason I'll tell, because it is not connected with the IGW, okay? But I'll give you another situation. If you want to connect it, internet, want to connect internet over the private virtual machine, then how will you connect it? So there